Jack Cardiff's stunning work with the Technicolor camera and color system, his painting with light, has become legendary.
Black Narcissus, which was a spectacularly photographed film. When I was a struggling cinematographer, it made a deep impression on me.
Black Narcissus, which was a wonderful achievement in as much as, knowing dear old as I did, I'm sure Mickey woke up one day and said, I know what I'd like to do. I'd like to do a complete location picture in the studio. And so Jack was confined to do a location picture of Black Narcissus in the studio, and it was a wonderful job.
Michael Powell was very wise. He said, we're not going to India, we're doing it all in the studios. And at first we thought, oh my goodness, you know, this is going to be it can't be so good as a place. Michael Powell broke all the rules anyway, and that was what I admired about him. It was supposed to be a story of nuns who tried to found a convent and hospital in the Himalayas, but because the Himalayas were so beautiful, the very pagan beauty of the place defeats them. Well, what more perfect vehicle for a cameraman could that be, you know, with beauty and the fact that being high in the Himalaya mountains, there was this wonderful breeze that kept coming in, rustling the clothes and rustling everything, so that constant movement was beautiful to look at. Deborah Kerr had what I call an absolute, imperishable, perfect face. I mean, if she went to a party and stayed up all night and drank a couple of bottles of whiskey or whatever, and the next morning would come on the set looking absolutely bright and beautiful. Well, painting with light is, of course, a loose kind of cliche, but the fact is that the art of the cameraman, I believe, should be to emphasize the drama of the story, if you like, by studying the actual painters like Vermeer and Caravaggio. They were a perfect lesson in how to light people. Particularly the old classical painters used to use one key light and light people. And this was fascinating to me to see how simplicity was the keynote. We had a scenic artist who painted on glass. I mean, that looking down from the bell position, it looked like it went on forever. It looked like 1,000 or so feet down. But in fact, from the top of the bell tower to the ground was something like 8 feet. And considering that we were working in the studio grounds, almost wherever you looked, you never had a vision, you never had mountains or never had any effect other than other studio buildings in the background. We were surrounded by studios. So if we wanted to show any of the exterior, we'd have to paint it. The main powerful base were the costumes of the nuns, which was sort of oatmeal white. The lighting was always meant to be bright sunlight that came in, because it was supposed to be very high up in very clear air, and that was a great advantage for me, to make clear light and sharp and everything else.
Although Jack had trained and worked for Technicolor and was an expert with their camera and system, they continually tried to impose strict rules on his lighting and shooting of scenes.
Number 2 fog filter, which was very slight really, but it gave a sort of soft effect. It was sort of dawn, slightly foggy look about it. The next morning, Technicolor sent a report saying that everything we'd shot that day was NG, and they put the stuff on the screen. And the moment I saw it, I knew it was good, I knew it was right. And Michael Powell said, "Jack, that's wonderful, it's exactly what I wanted." And he turned to Technicolor and he said, "You know, you've got to really learn something about art here." He said, "This is really great." And he gave him a roasting.
In 1947, Jack won an Oscar for his work on Black Narcissus.
I remember how difficult it was to get candle effects with arcs. And I remember how we had to open the studio doors to let the fog of the blue haze from the arc lamps out every so often. In those days, of course, Technicolor needed much more light about 5 times higher than it is today. So a lot of light was needed, and that was tough to light. We did the scene of Catherine Byron with an accented makeup, because she has put lipstick on, which was a big shock. It's surprising how a lot of people talk about that film and they say what a shock it was to see the nun putting on red lipstick. Black Narcissus was the one film that was perfect for a cameraman.
We may proceed with our plans at Mopu. It will be called St. Faith. You will be the youngest Sister Superior in our order.
Thank you, Reverend Mother.
I am going to give them this house to make a school and a hospital for the people.
A convent in this house.
No place to put a nunnery, I can tell you that.
I don't think you're ready for it.
Do you notice a change in us since we came here?
I notice a change in you.
I feel that things are not right with you. I remember things before I joined our order.
There's something in the atmosphere that makes everything seem exaggerated.
I think there are only 2 ways of living in this place. Either ignore it or give yourself up to it.
Don't you understand? We must all get away before something happens.
You didn't want me to come here.
None of you have ever wanted me here,
Why should we want to keep you here against your will?
Because you're all jealous of me.
especially you.
Ever since you came here, you've all gone crazy. Well, drive one another crazy, but leave me out of it!